Hey guys, today I want to talk about boxing and how complete or good of a martial art it is. On my rating system that I give, if you watch my last couple of videos, I've done Taekwondo and BJJ already, as well as another video just talking about my rating system that I think is pretty helpful. We talk about how practical something is, which is how much does my environment or circumstance lend itself towards my skills and talents. Secondly, how practical it is. How much does my body type and condition really affect my martial art? And thirdly, how efficient it is, which is kind of what it sounds like. How consistently and efficiently, quickly can I get the situation handled? Boxing, I actually highly recommend. Even though I haven't studied it much myself, other than kickboxing, which does kicking and boxing. I actually highly recommend it. I do want to spend more time in it, because on this system, I think it gets the job done. It's the first line of defense. A lot of times, the other martial arts get a little bit too cocky. They get a little bit too fancy. Taekwondo's fancy. BJJ's a little cocky. And I think they overestimate what they can do, whereas boxing is straight to the point. It has some limitations that I want to talk about, but I think it should rank fairly high on this system. So talking about its practicality, how much does my circumstance or situation lend itself to this martial art? I think most circumstances allow for punching. Most floor conditions don't affect you. Clothing really doesn't affect you too much. Unless you're wearing clothes that are just way too tight for you, buddy. I mean, stop trying to show off those biceps, am I right? I mean, wear normal clothes and you should be fine. Now, if you're a female, you're wearing high heels maybe. Yes, that'll factor in. But largely, it's going to do fairly well in almost all circumstances. The only a big downfall, and I guess, would be if someone has your hands tied up meaning literally tied up, or like held up like they're wrestling you or something like that. Got your arms pinned. Jiu-jitsu guys like to pin your arms. You're out of weapons. Boxing is very limited on its weapons, and that's the biggest problem with boxing. They don't have kicks, they don't have grappling, they don't have elbows, they don't have headbutts, they don't have crotch shots. They have nothing but punches, of which are fabulous. They're great punches, but they don't have any other weapons. A big problem, but at least they grabbed the most important weapon. You know, Taekwondo guys, they have one weapon. It's good, but it's not the most important weapon, which is punching, in my opinion. I think a lot of guys would agree. So even before I recommend Taekwondo to anybody, I recommend boxing. If you're just trying to find a martial art to focus on for 6 months and leave the dojo forever, right? Because you have your primary weapon. So practically, I mean, it's great. You don't need a lot of space for it. The floor doesn't factor in too much. I mean, if you're on a sheet of ice, then you're on a sheet of ice. But even that is better than Taekwondo on a sheet of ice. So, pretty good. Practical in what else category? Multiple attackers. It's great. You can punch out multiple attackers. Obviously, with more attackers, it's more difficult, as with everything. But it would probably do the best with multiple attackers. I don't want to say the best out of every martial art out there, but it's got to be up there when it comes to multiple attackers, as long as you're having a punch-out fight, right? Or a striking fight. It's not good when it comes to a martial artist like me who does kicks fighting him, because my distance is longer than his distance unless he's 6.5 foot, 7 foot tall, right? So, and a lot of other times, Sorry, I'm rushing over what I'm saying here. They train a specific distance that's good for hands. Taekwondo outreaches them. And they don't train to defend or look for kicks. They don't train or look out for takedowns. I mean, they don't look for anything else. They're just punching. So if somebody who does something out of their category starts attacking them, they might very well get lost. But at least they have the primary weapon. So, they're expand. You know what I'm saying? Expand. Do boxing, do it well, but expand. It's more than just punching. I mean, if I can do one leg sweep to you and you're on the ground, or I do a wrestler comes and takes you down, I mean, you can still punch a little bit, but he can quickly take any submission on you. Chokes, arm locks, ankle locks, any lock, they're crazy, okay? We talked about that last video, or whenever I posted that. You really need to open up your arsenal. You're going to really hurt yourself in the long run. And I think we see that in UFC. We see guys who are just strikers getting pulverized by the grapplers. Therefore, they at least need to learn how to sprawl. They at least need to know how to maintain distance so they can't take you down. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, he's not much of a grappler. He's had to learn grappling, but that's not his preference. So instead, he operates as, I'm working on my sprawls and my takedown defense. So you gotta at least learn that stuff, because in this world, there's a lot of guys who've done martial arts, and being a martial artist doesn't make you a good guy. So they might be coming after you. So, something to keep in mind. That's probably it for the practical side. It is the most critical part that boxers need to keep in mind, in my opinion. It's almost the sole thing they need to keep in mind is open up your arsenal. Look out for attacks that are outside of your punching, because if you're not prepared for it, it's probably going to land. So that's that for that. Next is practical. How much does your body lend itself, or your body condition lend itself to it working well? I don't think it requires much. Kind of like BJJ. BJJ probably requires more athleticism than boxing. Again, this is not meaning in the gym or in a ring. Those guys are next level. I mean, you got to have good cardio if you're fighting another boxer, right? But I'm talking about in the street, solving a bar fight. Any fight that happens along the street, someone's trying to mug you. Other than the option of giving your money away. But if you have to fight, the cardio required isn't much. I mean, it's really not much. You're going to be wore out by the end. But I think, and we've seen it, a lot of old guys, a lot of old veterans have boxed their way out of situations. Who would have thought that a 70-year-old could box himself out of a situation? Does not require a lot of athleticism, doesn't require some know-how, but not a lot of athleticism per se. So I would say, applicably, it does well. If you're injured, your condition, you have bad knees, bad elbows, bad shoulders, bad back. I mean, punches come from the ground. If you're a boxer or you're a striker at all, punches and strikes come from the ground. So it's going to go through your arm, through your elbow, through your shoulder, through your spine, down through your knees, and down through your ankles. It's going to hurt. And granted, you're not going to give as much power, but I don't think it's really stopping you from throwing a punch. I mean, you can do it. It's easy, simple, direct. It's pretty applicable to you. So I would say practically it's probably the highest you can go. It's probably it's probably as high as you can go. But that's because of their limited arsenal, which is the problem. So, do you give it to them as the highest amount of applicable because they could do all their attacks easily, or do you take it away from them because practically you're such a limited arsenal that doesn't come into play? I guess that just means that practically it needs to go lower on the level, and applicably it can stay up high. I guess that's how that would have to play out, because that's how it works. I mean, you could do your attacks, your techniques you can do. So it is applicable. So I guess that's how you had to do that. And then lastly, efficient. How efficient is it? I mean, it's direct. I mean, it's great. Only people I would say that it's not great for, which pretty much is across the board anyways, is kids, like young teenagers and kids. Yes, you can punch. You might be able to know how to do it right. But I think most adults are going to be able to take your punch and just move on. So, I mean, but that's pretty much so for most techniques, because you need an amount of strength. I guess that goes into applicable. Like, how much does it apply to you? Do you need to be very strong? I guess in that case, boxers, the stronger you are, the better the punches. So, for those who are weaker, I mean, some women who are, just not naturally as strong as men, some men who aren't very big, don't work out a lot, children, you do need strength, but you don't need as much strength as you may think. So, something to keep in mind. But for efficiency-wise, I think a punch to the face solves a lot of problems. A punch to the gut, to the kidney, I've got kicked there once. It's not great. You pause for 2 seconds and all of a sudden you collapse. It's like, oh. I think it's a kidney. I'm sorry. Is that the liver? I always get those two mixed up. You can correct me in the comments if you want to. It's one of the two. It's right in here somewhere, and it doesn't feel good, okay? It shuts you down for a second. So if you can shut them down for a second and you can get away, fantastic. So efficiency-wise, I love it. I think it's super efficient, and that's why I recommend it. If you're only going to take one for 6 months, it's probably going to be boxing, because it's straightforward, simple, and is effective and efficient. So, how effective is the martial art overall? Well, I want to do one point, and I didn't mention this in the other videos. I just thought about it. I meant to say it in the other videos, and I completely forgot. Is for self-defense purposes, how much do these martial arts talk about self-defense situations, or are they focused on sport? Taekwondo largely is a sport-focused martial art, so that would not get a high rating in that category either. I guess that comes under the category of not efficient, not practical. I guess, yeah, it would be practical. Does it apply to self-defense circumstances? Is it practical in training to realistic situations? I guess that's where that would go under. Taekwondo isn't, but they do have multiple weapons in their arsenal. Kicking, punching, and takedowns. Not really anything on the ground, but they do have takedowns. So, again, you're going to say, wouldn't I see takedown Taekwondo? You might not have, but I did it in my Taekwondo. So, it is there. So, keeping that in mind, Taekwondo would probably have a better rating than boxing, I would say, because boxers don't really teach anything about situational awareness. They don't teach anything about clothing you're wearing, places you're going. It's really not talked about. In my experience, or what I've heard people talk about, I've not heard them talk about situational awareness or any self-defense things where you're taking out a gun, taking out a knife, taking care of people behind you, just sitting in the right spot so that you're facing the right direction. I don't hear anything like that in boxing. I don't think I've ever heard anybody, in just boxing. In MMA, yes. In boxing, I've not heard anybody say that. So I would say it's probably pretty low in the practical side in that point. which is an important point. If we're talking about self-defense, do they refer to self-defense when they're talking about this? If they don't, you're missing out on something. But again, if you're straight to the point with a punch, then I think you're okay. Very long-winded, I apologize. But if we were to rate this then, we'll go ahead and rate it right now. 5 points given to each of these 3 categories: practical, applicable, and efficient. I'm going to say practical. It's pretty good, other than the fact that you have a limited arsenal, and that makes a big difference. And they don't talk about self-defense stuff. So I'm going to take the practical down. It won't go less than a 3. I'll give it a 3. I don't know. It's a 3 or a 4. For the sake of being fair to other martial arts, I think we're just going to give it a 3. Because I think other ones do a lot better at the practical side of it. Teaching self-defense mindset and having multiple weapons in their arsenal. So I'm gonna give it a 3. I think that's fair. For applicable, it applies to pretty much anybody in any condition, even people sitting. If you're in a wheelchair, you can still punch people. Granted, not as good. I'm not saying it's better, but I'm saying, like, if you're only gonna do one martial art because you're locked in a wheelchair, it's boxing, right? So, I'm gonna give it a 5. I think it gets a 5 out of it. It gets, yeah. I mean, it does really well in how it's applied. Can it apply to you and your circumstance? I think it gets 5. And as far as efficient goes, I mean, it's up there. It gets the job done, and it gets the job done consistently. So I might be wrong, but I think it's going to pull through to another 5. So what does that give me? 10 between the two. That gives me 13 points out of 15 points. I mean, it's good. It's good. If you're doing boxing, you got a lot going for you. Work on your arsenal and work on self-defense mindset and training for situational awareness and stuff like that. And I think, man, I feel like it's too high because BJJ's got 9 and Taekwondo's got 8, but it's significantly better than Taekwondo. Also better than Jiu-Jitsu. I don't want to say it's a 13, but I mean, the points give the points. I think it's a 13. So let me know what you think. Do you think boxing deserves 13 points when BJJ gets 9 and Taekwondo gets 8? What do you think? What would you add to boxing that they could improve upon? I mean, they're at 13, so what would get them to 15? I guess you tell me in the comments, and I'd love to hear it. Subscribe also. I'm trying to do more videos like this, as well as some more not just sit down videos. Gotta find time to do those videos. It's a lot more harder. A lot more hard to find time and space to do this kind of stuff. So, but follow along. Look at some of my other videos too. I got some pretty cool content, I think. And I just love to hear what you guys got to say. So, we'll catch you next time.
Yeah.